So today I'm going to be introducing you to the Sennheiser profile wireless radio microphone systems. These are dual channel radio microphones. So it might look like one microphone right here, but housed inside this case, we actually have two transmitters and one receiver. That means that we can mic up two people and have their audio wirelessly sent to the receiver, which can output that signal to a camera, a mobile phone, or an audio recorder. So let's get stuck in. So we've actually bought a number of these profile wirelesses to exist on the asset store. Firstly, we've made around 10 kits that exist on the asset store where you can book purely a profile wireless out. And in those kits, you receive the profile wireless system, a plug to charge that system up. You also receive a cable. I'm going to call it a Y cable, because if you look, it kind of splits like so we can run the output of our receiver and have both microphones coming out of it. And we also have these little XLR barrels too. And along with that, we also have two lavalier microphones that we can use with these systems. So when you book this out as a separate item on the asset store on CISO, it will come with all of these items of equipment with it. And I'll show you how they work in a bit. And the other way that you might have access to a profile wireless system is by booking a mobile journalism kit, which a set of these will come in each kit as standard. And inside that kit, you will have the profile wireless system in its bag, along with a charging plug for it too. So let's unzip the bag, open it up. And inside here, we have obviously the Sennheiser profile wireless, but in the top pouch of the bag, we also have a USB-C to USB-C cable, which you can use with the plug that we provide to charge all of your system. And we also have a stereo TRS to TRS cable. This will be especially useful when running the output of the receiver into a camera such as a Canon R8 or a Sony A7, a mirrorless camera that has a stereo microphone input. And inside this bag, we also have these two little bits of fluff, these bits of wind protection as well. So try not to lose these. These can be attached to the transmitters to prevent any wind noise. So let's have a little look around the charging bar. So this whole device looks like a handheld microphone, but in reality, it's just a housing. So if I take off this foam cover on the top and we have a little inspection, right in the top there, those are our two transmitters, and down here, that's our receiver. And this whole bar is actually a charging bar. It has an internal battery that will charge up your transmitters and your receiver too. Okay, well, how do I get these out of the bar itself? You'll notice these kind of serrated kind of buttons that are placed around the device. So if I want to release my receiver, I come underneath here and I press that in. It clicks out. Try not to have this upside down so it drops on the floor. But then you can just pull out your receiver and place that there. For the transmitters, you do the same, but you press these buttons up at the top. So now I can press one of them. You see it jumps out. Wonderful. And now I can press the other one. It pops out. And there we have it. So if we want to charge up our charging bar and also the devices that are living inside it, we can do so by connecting a USB-C connection on the back of the device here. And you can use the USB-C cable that's in the bag and plug it into the 13 amp plug. If I open up this window on the back, we get some very useful adapters. This will take the receiver and output it on a lightning adapter so that you can plug it into an older style iPhone. We also have an adapter here so that you can plug your receiver into a USB-C connection. That could be a computer or, again, an Android phone or one of the newer iPhones, for instance. And we also have a cold shoe adapter. And if I pull that out, try not to lose these if you can. These slide onto the bottom of the receiver, and something like this then means it could be mounted on top of a camera. Brilliant. You can slide that back out and place it back in the box. We also have on the bottom these two magnets, and if you press on one side of these magnets, you see they kind of flip up. I can take one of these out, and they have a little heart symbol on them because you're not meant to put these close to people who have pacemakers, so just beware of that. And these magnets are going to attach to the back of our transmitters. And that means we can actually have a magnet on the inside of some clothing and be able to mount our microphone without clipping it. Lovely. When you're done at the end of the day, the best way to power these down and put them back inside the bar will be to, if you have a look at your transmitter, you'll notice it's got a clip on it. And if we look in the top, we have these two slots, and you see the clip fits into these indentations here. So we'll put one in, and you see it clicks, so it's not going to come loose. Put the other one in, and I will do the same for the receiver and just slot that one in. So I've slotted it in, but they're still on, okay, which isn't ideal. So what we want to do is we want to hold down this power button, and if I hold it down, it will turn everything off. You might think, well, it's not off though, because there's a little battery indicator here. Well, that means that the internal battery in the charging bar is charging your devices. If you want to check the battery level on the charging bar, you can tap it once. And it will also display the battery level on your transmitters, as well as the record time left on the transmitters too, because these devices can actually record internally as well. So let's have a look at our transmitter. So on the front of our transmitter, we have 3 lights. The top one up here is the battery level light. The second one down is our connection light, which shows whether or not we are connected to our receiver. And the third one is our record light. So if we're recording directly on the transmitter, that record light will show. If I look on this side, we have 2 buttons. The power button, so we can turn this transmitter on and off, and also the record button here. So if I did press the record button, you'll notice that record light is now on. Let's stop recording. And we can do that from our receiver rather than touching on the pack if we'd like. If we look at the very top, we have a built-in microphone. So as standard, these will use the built-in microphone so long as nothing is plugged in here. So you could clip this onto someone and use the bit of fur protection here to screw onto the top. And that's a great way of getting interviews, but more of a content creation style of use case. What I would prefer to teach would be to run a lavalier microphone into this transmitter, and you'll notice we can plug it in here, and when you plug in a lavalier microphone into this transmitter, it bypasses this microphone. It won't use this one, it will only use what you plug in. If we look on the back, we actually have this clip, which we can put the magnet on as I showed earlier, but we can also pull down on this clip and it'll open up like so. If we look on the bottom of the transmitter, we also have a USB-C connection, and this can be used to transfer the files that are recorded internally to your computer. You just plug in the USB-C cable and it shows up, similarly to how an SD card or a hard drive works. So let's have a little look around our receiver. So it turns on as soon as we take it out of the charging bar. And on the front panel, we have a touch screen, which can be used to access settings for the receiver, but also both transmitters. On the left-hand side, we have a stereo output, which could be used to connect to a camera or to an audio device. We also have a headphone output too. So this is going to be especially useful for the mobile journalism kits because it means that you can monitor the audio coming in from your transmitters while also simultaneously recording it on your phone. On the bottom, we have this little section here where we can slide in those different adapters that I mentioned. And we have a power button on the other side of the receiver itself. So let's get stuck into the settings on our receiver. So when we remove the receiver, it automatically turns on. If your transmitters are connected, they will be displayed up on the top half of the screen. And you'll notice it will say transmitter number 1, we get an audio level coming through and a battery indicator. We also get a value too, and that value is how much gain are we adding to that signal. We have the same over here for transmitter number 2. At the bottom we have a battery indicator, and this is your receiver's battery level. And you see there's a little letter down there that says S. That is our output mode, and we'll go over that in the menu in a bit. We also have the signal strength of our transmitters too. Since our transmitters are right next to us, our signal strength is full. If I want to access the receiver, which we know is this one down here, I touch on it and swipe upwards. And now we can scroll through the menus if we'd like and change settings. If I would like to go back, I can scroll all the way to the top and scroll back down to get rid of that menu. So I can go up to access the menu and down to go back. Brilliant. So let's have a look in the menu. What have we got? Well, we have mode. At the moment, it says our receiver is in S mode, and that is stereo. So let's tap on mode. Brilliant. So this is really important. This will determine how your two radio microphones will be output, either into your phone or via the output 3.5mm jack. So if I have this in stereo mode, this means that one transmitter will go to the right of our stereo channel, and one transmitter will go to the left of our stereo channel. The benefit of that is that it means that we can then isolate each channel in post-production. They're not mixed together, which means that we can get rid of one microphone or process those microphones independently. So I would always, if I'm using two microphones, output in stereo. The other option you have is mono. And what mono does is, you see the M is activated up here. Mono means that both of these microphones are going to be mixed together and output equally in both the left and the right. So that might be effective if you are running into a phone and you're not going to be doing any post-production. You might want to use that. But otherwise, I would always use stereo. Mono could be applicable too if you're using just one transmitter with this. And what's quite interesting, we also have a safety mode here too. And what safety mode is going to do, it's going to work the same as mono, so it will mix everything together, but one track in your stereo, one channel in your stereo output will be slightly quieter than the other. So it's like a safety track. If in case someone went a little bit too loud, there's a second track that's being recorded that is a little bit quieter, which won't distort. So pretty much all the time, if you're using two mics, I would just use the stereo mode. Lovely. So I want to go back a layer in the menu, and I swipe down. You can see my fingers are making a bit of a mess on this, so apologies for that. What else have we got? Well, we've got headphones. So if we tap on headphone, that's simply your headphone volume coming out of the headphone plug here. So we can make that louder or quieter depending on your listening needs. We also have an output level as well. So if you're finding you're running this into a camera and you're getting quite a lot of noise from the camera's built-in preamplifier, you might want to bump up your output level and turn down the gain on the camera. I'm going to leave this at 0 for now. So that is affecting the output level that comes out of this jack right here. Brilliant. These transmitters are capable of recording in 32-bit float, and we can enable that here if we'd like by hitting on or off. If it's off, I believe it records only in 24-bit. We have an option also in here for backup recording. This is quite an interesting feature. So backup recording, if I have this turned on, if my signal strength, so you can remember our signal strength is found in our main view. With backup recording on, if my signal strength drops all the way down and my connection drops out, it will automatically start recording on your transmitters. So it's a really good way of, with inconsistent sort of frequency environments or dropouts happening, that you have a backup enabled on your recorder. So that's also really useful too. Brilliant. Let's keep going. So you can use backup recording if you'd like. We have brightness, and that is simply just the brightness of the screen. It's completely up to you. Will affect battery life slightly too if it's very bright. We have a pairing option here too, which we will explore now. So at the moment, if I tap on pairing, it says both transmitters are paired. Great. I'm now going to unpair them. So if I tap on the pair button, it says repairing forgets all paired devices. Are you sure? Obviously, if yours are paired, you won't need to do this. But for an example, I'm just going to disconnect these. And now I've done that, we have an option to pair the transmitters. Okay. So my transmitters aren't connected right now. And you can see that because the red light has appeared on these two little arrows. It's looking for transmitter number 1. So what I need to now do is hold down these two buttons. And if I hold down these two buttons, this will flash blue. It will pick it up successfully. And then we get a green light here. And it says transmitter 1 successfully paired. Do you want to continue with transmitter 2? Yes. And we just do the same process. So in the unlikely event that these all become unpaired, that's how you're going to pair them back together. Brilliant. Let's keep going. We have an option here to rotate the display. If this is turned on, it means that if I spin the display upside down, it rotates. So it's got an accelerometer in there. So it can figure out which way is up, which is useful if you have this connected to a phone. It's useful to have it, I'm pointing it directly up so it's getting confused. It's useful to have it rotated. If you turn this off, it will stay in this configuration. So let's turn it off for now. We can choose the date inside here as well. So that's going to obviously stamp the file that you record on your transmitters with the date and time. Time is the second option underneath that too. And we can also factory reset these if we want and get any information about the serial number of these devices. So quite a straightforward receiver menu actually. So we can access the menu on our transmitters by putting our finger towards the transmitter we want to get to. So let's say I want to go to transmitter number 1 and I tap on it and I swipe it across. So for 1, I will swipe it to the right and then swipe it to the left to go back. For 2, I will swipe it to the left and then swipe it to the right to come back. Great, so let's go to transmitter number 1. Inside this menu, we can activate recording remotely. So rather than pressing the button on the transmitter, we can access recording from our receiver and we can hit the on button. And if we do that, the red light turns on our transmitter. Brilliant. That can be quite useful. Let's swipe this way. We can also mute our transmitter if we want. So if our talent this mic's up, they need to go to the toilet. If they don't want to take their microphone off, we can actually mute it from here too, just so we have no signal coming through. Brilliant. We also can adjust our gain here too. So we can add a bit of gain to say our talent or contributor is slightly quieter with their voice and they're coming through at a lower level. We can boost them up slightly here if we'd like to. Brilliant. We also have a low cut as well, which is either on or off, and this is going to remove some of the lower frequencies from your microphone, things like wind noise or bassy or boomy voices. This can clean it up slightly. We can also activate or deactivate the LED lights. They're actually on our transmitters too, so you can see those lights going on and off. And that can be useful when you're hiding these transmitters on people's costumes. Down here we also have memory. So since these transmitters can record internally, we need to have a memory option which displays how long we've got left in recording, and we can also delete and format. That means remove all the data that's on the internal storage on this device. So I'd say if you are going to use these devices, it's worth clearing them before you start recording so you don't have loads of other people's recordings on your transmitter. So our charging bar houses our transmitters and our receiver. But it can also be used as kind of like a handheld microphone. So to do that, what you're going to need to do is have your transmitters on, slide them into the top. You can do this with one transmitter or two. I'm just going to do both of them. Slide them into the top. You can then position this foam windscreen over those transmitters. This will help with a slight bit of wind noise reduction, but also sort of plosives, pops and clicks and things like that. And now what we can do is actually have our receiver and connect that to a phone. We could connect that to a camera, to an audio recorder, and then we can actually take this microphone and use it as a stick mic and hold it in front of someone for, say, street side interviews, or if you wanted to record a voiceover, you could do it like that too. So that's how it would work. You would connect this to a phone, hold this microphone, and interview people like so. You could also use one microphone that exists in the mic, let's call it the handheld mic, and another microphone that could be clipped onto the host who is interviewing that person too. So it's quite flexible with what it can do. So I showed you earlier that we also have this fluff, this kind of wind protection that we can add to the built-in microphone in the transmitters. And if you look on the bottom, you see you've kind of got this slightly notched ring. There are some small grooves in it. Those grooves will line up with the grooves on top of the microphone itself. So it's a very fiddly process. I tend to pull back the fur slightly, and then you're going to line these up, and so it sits in, and then spin them round like so. That's now connected. So if you weren't using a lavalier with these, you could, for instance, just clip this onto the outside of someone's jacket or shirt, and if they're outside, that's going to be nice and protected from wind noise. Let's use our profile wireless with a mirrorless camera, and for this case, I'm using a Canon R8. So let's start by getting our receiver, going to our bar, And inside this, as you may remember, we have this little camera icon on this little adapter here. And if we pull this one out, what you'll notice is that this will happily sit onto our hot shoe here. And I can do this by placing this adapter into the bottom of my receiver, like so. And now you'll notice I can actually slide this onto the top of the camera. So now we have our profile wireless system rigged on the top of the camera. And what we can now do is we can take our 3.5mm TRS cable, take it from the output, and where we're going to plug this in on this camera in particular is we're going to plug it into the mic input right here. Most of these DSLR cameras will have some sort of audio recording setting buried deep in the camera. So this one is called sound recording. And if I tap on this, you'll see it says sound recording auto. I guess it's just trying to figure out what's best. If I tap on that at the moment and I set this to manual, like so, we can then choose the recording level. So let's start by pressing where it says sound recording. You notice we actually get some meters come through here. And now if I tap on this, you'll notice this first transmitter is coming through on our left channel, and our second transmitter is coming through on our right channel. So the technical tap test, as I call it, just to double check that we're getting a kind of split signal coming out of our receiver. So now if I did record on this camera, we could have one actor coming through on our left, one actor coming through on our right, and that means we can then split their mics in post-production, which is really good. And that's all because we chose stereo on the output of our receiver. My camera turns off for a second. What you may notice right now though is that we're getting a really loud level coming through, and even with me holding my transmitter close to my chest using the inbuilt microphone, it's still coming through pretty loud. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to say okay, and I'm just going to turn down our record level on our camera. Generally, preamps in cameras like this aren't so good, but you notice when we turn down that record level, we're starting to see those meters come down. And there's actually a green mark around about -12, which is a good point to hit on your recording level. And that's bringing down the level of both of those microphones so they're nice and safe. They're not going to distort, but they're also not too quiet. Brilliant. That means we're ready to film on this camera. Let's run our receiver into our Zoom F6. And to do that, we'll use the accessories included in the single kits that we book out from the asset store. And inside that kit, we have a special cable. And this is called a Y cable. Why do we need this, you might ask? And that is because this outputs a stereo signal from its output here, but we want to run both of our transmitters into different inputs on our F6. So to do that, we actually need to split that stereo signal out like so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug one side of my Y cable, the side that isn't split, from the output, like so. And then I'm going to take my split side of the cable. Bear in mind, one transmitter is going to come through on one of these, the other transmitter is going to come through on the other one. I'm then going to attach these to these XLR barrels. Where's the other one gone? Like so. And now I can plug these two into my Zoom F6. So I will do that by having a little look at the side of the Zoom F6. Let's plug these into 2 and 3. So I'm imagining I've got a boom microphone in one. So let's say, take the XLR barrel, plug that in, take the other one, plug that one in too. If any of you want to know how to use the Zoom F6, I have got a video on my channel about that, but I'm just going to quickly do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to record arm 2 and 3 by turning these dials. You see we immediately get some levels coming through, at least on 2. I'm going to PFL and I'm going to come to track number 2. And you'll notice we're already starting to get some levels, so I'll do the tap test just to double check. Brilliant. So this one is coming through on channel number 2 on the F6. And if I come up and press PFL again, nothing is coming through on this one. Oh, something, but we just need to turn up the gain considerably. So it's important you don't send phantom power to the XLRs that are connected to your profile wireless. Phantom power over time could damage your radio microphone equipment. Initially, you'll probably be fine, but over time it could cause damage. So make sure that you set these to mic level. And that's giving us a healthy level. It's not pushing the gain too hard, so the preamp's not working too hard, and that should sound pretty nice. So if we go back to our main view, what we can now see one microphone coming through on channel number 3 and another microphone coming through on channel number 2. So remember, we set up our receiver to work in stereo. So if you look down here, let me quickly zoom, so we focus up, we can see we have an S. That's why these are split out. If, for instance, I did change this to be into mono mode, what you'll notice is if I tap one of these mics, both the levels go up and down. So it's mixing both of them together. We don't get things separated when we work in mono, therefore stereo is the way to go. So that when I tap on one of these, one channel jumps up, another channel jumps up. They're nice and split out for us to isolate in post-production. To use a profile wireless system with your phone, firstly, have a look on your phone and see what adapter you need. Remember, we can open up the back of our charging bar and access the relevant adapter. So I have an iPhone that has a lightning connection on. So I can come to the lightning adapter, I can pull that one out. And so one side of the adapter will have a USB-C connection, one side will have either lightning or USB-C. So if we look on the back of here, you see there is a USB-C connection in there. So let's slide the USB-C side in. Brilliant. And now my lightning connection is available to me here. Let me just get rid of that. So in theory, I can now plug this directly to the bottom of my phone. I'm currently using an application on my phone called Rode Reporter, which is just a way of recording audio files from your phone's internal mic or from a different system that's connected to your phone. So at the moment, I haven't got it plugged in, and I've got the internal microphone of my phone running into the Rode Reporter app. And what I can do is actually connect this to my phone, like so, and it changes at the top of the screen to say Sennheiser Profile Wireless RX. Very nice. And you'll notice this is a split signal as well. Great. So it's that easy to get audio recordings on your phone. With our Profile Wireless receiver connected to our phone, we can open a camera application and we can do some filming. And when we do that filming, the radio microphones, if it's in split configuration, will automatically be added to that recording, which is great. It's always worth doing a test recording just to check that that's working. What's really, really important though, if you're doing mobile filming, is that we always listen to our sound. There's nothing worse than taking a recording, not listening to it in the moment, and then going home at the end of the day, watching it back and realizing that your audio is all messed up. So that's why the headphone output is so important on these receivers. We can listen to our microphone sources while we're recording to make sure that they're all safe. So make sure you practice that. So let's create a recording directly on the transmitter. Well, the easiest way to do that would be to come to the transmitter and press the red button, or we can actually come to record remotely by using the receiver. So if we go to our transmitter we want to record on, let's say number 1, we go to recording, we turn that on, and we swipe back. There's a little red record icon right there, and we are recording on this transmitter. So now I can hold it up to my mouth and say testing 1 2 1 2 Sennheiser Profile Wireless test on board recording. Great, I'm happy with that. So now we can come to our receiver and press the recording button and turn that off. Lovely. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to plug this in via the USB-C connection to my computer. So I plugged in my transmitter to my computer via USB-C, and if I double click on this mounted drive, which is called No Name at the moment, you see we have a folder called audio, and if I open up, there is our recording, stamped with the date and time that was set on the receiver. And I can hit spacebar and listen to it. We turn that on and we swipe back. We are recording on this transmitter. So now I can hold it up to my mouth and say testing 1 2 1 2. So it works kind of like an SD card, really. You don't need any dedicated piece of software to offload the files. It's very straightforward, and any backup recordings that you do when it loses signal will also show up inside this folder too.